Excited to be back and excited for today's episode. Today you are going to learn or recap, if you are already familiar with this topic, a lot of interesting details regarding some of the major extraterrestrial races we know to be involved with Earth. No, you are not in the wrong channel. This is Cosmic Agency. This initial clip is from the introductory part of the latest Space Academy class about the most active and known ET races out there. And I included it here so you visit it if you are interested in the more comprehensive and simple guide of the ET races. In this video here today, I'm only sharing extra bits of what I did not share there, fragments of descriptions of different ETs, and parts of conversations held between 2018 and somewhere through 2023 that I had been accumulating in a separate folder. These are rather random excerpts, but I'm sharing it as you might find them interesting. Enjoy! And do visit my other channel, Space Academy Sector Earth, if you haven't yet, for the full video on the stellar races. Some more races in the Pleiades. Atlantes molus from Atlas. Strongly built, red to brown skin, broken angular noses, long faces, dark to black hair, scarce facial hair in males. Females found to be between 140 and 170 centimeters tall. Males to be between 150 to 180 centimeters tall. Brown or black eyes. Clothing mostly robes or scarce clothing. They are no longer interstellar. Iena from Alcyone. As they are higher density people, they are mostly light beings that can manifest themselves into having a body when they are interested in interacting with who they perceive to be lower density people. In a similar way to Aldebaran's Sindriel Amelie people, they are mostly seen as a humanoid figure made of glowing soft light. They do have the capacity to show themselves as material people, hard matter. When they do so, they can take several forms at will, but prefer to manifest themselves with looks almost identical to Solations, that is tall and slender, softly built, white skin, blue eyes, and long blonde to white hair, giving off an almost elvic appearance. Clothing at will and as needed, but preferring long, elegant robes with a lot of jewelry and ornamentation. They are seen as great wise elders and guides to all, highly respected. Sauk Meswaki from Sterope. Tall, strongly built Nordic race. Up to 3 meters tall. Red-haired, long red beards in men, long red hair in women, ornamented Greek-looking clothing. Closely related and therefore part of the Elohi race. Blue or green eyes. Men very masculine in looks. Females also strong and rough-looking as compared to other races like Solations. Hadean felines from Merope. Hadean felines are the same exact species as the urma, no difference. They are, for all what matters, urma. They are independent, but also under the urma commonwealth, for lack of a better name. Lyrian ashants from Merope. Long, thin, and tall. Females 180 to 2 meters 50 centimeters tall. Males from 180 to 2 meters 70 centimeters tall. Long faces with nearly no nose, large almond eyes, blue or green, very small ears. Scarce hair only on the top of their heads, exclusively silver white. But the females may dye it other colors. They look almost as Andromedans, but with clear white skin similar to Salacians. Very peaceful, intellectual, and spiritually based. High frequency and density beings. They dressed almost exclusively in highly ornamented long robes of many colors. No class distinctions. Very homogeneous society. Interstellar, but with no known documented contact with Earth humans. Celestes, blues from Celeano. Celeanos are close relatives to Andromedans, from the same non-Lyrian branch of humanoids. Very old lineage, thought to have come out of the Boots region in space. Celeanos are not as tall as Andromedans, topping somewhere in the 2 meters 40 centimeter range for both genders. Pale baby blue skin and natural blue hair are observed in both genders, called blue Pleiadians. Short, very small noses, very small ears close to their skull, large blue almond eyes, mouth with nearly no lips, sometimes with no lips at all. Clothing mainly robes and tight one-piece suits, almost normal-looking comfortable two-piece clothes, and simple-looking shoes. Spiritual-based, progressive, peaceful, interstellar. A short excerpt from Athena's Varu on Urma. They have paws, but more like hands, something halfway between a hand and a feline paw, but they can be very dexterous. However, they still have the same problem all felines have. They cannot close their hand as to make a fist without sticking their claws out. So they have feline hands unique to them. Rare feet look like a regular tiger or lion ones. The males wear super ornamented and engraved golden or silver armor only for show, and almost as everyday suits as a man would wear a tie on Earth. Their suits have a hole in the rear for their bare tail to come out, and at the tip of it, many times, golden or colorful ornamental ribbons are observed in both males and females. They have a taste for over-ornamenting everything that is theirs, especially their clothing, and a lot of jewelry is observed both in males and females. Very friendly but dominant. Strongest military in the galaxy. Sharing the post of top species in this galaxy with Alpha Draconians, with which they hold a cordial and friendly relationship since a long time ago. They are not enemies. They cooperate and respect each other. Cetaceans race from Sirius A. There are several cetacean races known all through the galaxy. But regarding the most known and influential one, this is what I have to say. They look exactly like bottle-nosed gray Pacific dolphins from Earth. They are the very same species. They are high-density, highly evolved spiritual beings that hold and have developed an interstellar civilization based on mind and telepathy alone. They do not need much of the so-called material world. Everything they do regarding their civilization is mentally sustained. They communicate with each other telepathically and even at interstellar distances, being and existing in several planes or densities simultaneously. Their civilization is not easy to interpret with normal physical parameters. It is a high-density etherical civilization based on sharing advanced concepts and spiritual mystic experiences. Very hard to grasp for the human mind. All progressive and positive civilizations hold them in their highest respect and consider them as spiritual guides and elder souls. If a dolphin looks like a dumb fish swimming around aimlessly, it does not mean that it does not have an extremely rich inner mental and spiritual world. Humans simply are not equipped to understand dolphins, much less to perceive their world and the way they conceive the universe. Conversation with Svaruuferra.
How intelligent are the Maitre, the Mantis, and the Reptilians in relation to you? How do the minds of these beings work?
Each one will say that they are the most intelligent. The Maitre were created from reptilian Draco DNA with DNA from the grace of Zeta Reticuli. They are cold and without any compassion, logical and robotic. Many have a reptilian inside controlling them as organic portals. They are very dangerous, and we do not make any kind of agreements with them, nor do we have any kind of real interaction with that race. As for the mantis, there are many species. They are not negative. They are very strange compared to our way of thinking. They have a hive mind. They think like a wasp nest. They are very technological but understanding. One understands what is happening, and the others immediately follow. With this kind of race, we do have a good communication.
What relationship do the Maitre and the Reptilians have?
It is a cooperative relationship, but they get along very badly. And it is common for there to be fights between them with fatal results. As far as ethics are concerned, the Maitre are even more backward than the Reptilians. Even so, they are codependent and tolerate each other as races. The Reptilians are carnivores. The Maitre suck lymphatic material and liquefied material from their victims. Both also live on lush or fear energy, but they make use of it in different ways. And their movement is limited by their own low frequency, making them unable to reach many places that would be toxic to them, and that is most of the galaxy. That is also why they need to keep Earth in low 3D. For 5D, they need technology to keep themselves at a low vibration. The same thing happens on Mars, but there they artificially maintain their frequency inside their underground bases. They do go to the surface, but only to a limited extent and with suits. Another chat with Aneeka.
Maitre is a hybrid race between reptilians and greys, right?
Yes, but they are the ones who planned and are directing all of this, referring to COVID. The reptilians only benefit from it and are their allies.
And are those the ones who want to take everything away from humanity? For what purpose do they want this planet?
Total exploitation.
What are humans useful to them for?
As livestock, food, leather for boots.
Literally livestock? With all the consequences of what the word livestock means? In other words, another Alpha Centauri.
With everything the word livestock means. Yes.
Are they carnivores?
Maitre takes human glandular secretions and protein juices made from liquefied human parts, with an emphasis on the adrenal glands.
Do they have a higher mental coefficient than humans?
That is relative. Possibly yes.
And how tall are they?
Around 180 to 190 centimeters on average.
And how do they communicate with each other? Through telepathy?
Only telepathically.
And isn't the Federation afraid that this could turn against them?
They contain them on Earth. I know they will do nothing. The Federation will not lift a finger.
Then what are we doing here? What is the point of what we are doing?
Fighting in the end. Because that is what we are, us and you. Because what you do defines your soul, who you are.
Another chat, originally in Spanish, 2020. Information given to ex-contactees.
The orange are humanoid. They look human, but with orange-colored skin and a physiognomy similar to the Australian Aboriginal. The traits of the orange ones are very similar to the natives of Australia, but with orange skin, exaggeratedly orange. Malakak are the tall whites, the same ones. Tall, slim albinos. Both are half-regressive. They are more or less races close to the Lyrian, but already on the side where they begin to not resemble humans enough. The Malakak pass for tall albinos, but they already attract attention. The orange do not pass for humans. It is important not to confuse the Malakak with the Solatians. Since the Malakak are strictly speaking albinos, they lack pigmentation in the skin and in the eyes, being that they can be almost white or even white. On the other hand, Solatians are classic Pleiadians, of those who look extremely blonde. Both the orange and the Malakak are not to be trusted. They are very convenient, inconsiderate half-regressive. This is a variant of the orange ones. They are like pale yellow. They have also been seen a lot on Earth lately and are also considered dangerous. I don't have how to write their name. Right now you are talking to an individual of the race, the second image from left to right. Just saying.
And the Federation allows them to enter Earth?
Supposedly, since 2009 those races that are not considered neither positive nor regressive cannot access Earth. But from what we have seen, they do it anyway, because they transit through large American portals, where even small ships pass through there. But officially, they cannot enter Earth, only exit.
And what interests do they have here?
We don't know for sure, but it may be due to human and animal resource exploitation treaties, such as genetics. We connect them at least in part to cattle mutilation in the southeastern region of the USA. They are known to help the US military with technology, but their motives are, or remain, unclear. They have very high technological development, very interstellar, and usually transit through space portals like suns.
And that includes both Malakak and Orange?
I speak of Malakak since the Orange are not so relevant, although they have also been seen in Area 51. There is little data about them as their motivations. They are elusive and tend to avoid anything to do with the Federation.
Another short excerpt about Malakak from Svaruuvera. They are a humanoid race that outwardly resembles the human race. They are very secretive and not very empathetic. Their technological development is inferior to ours, and they show a certain degree of resentment about this. Communication with them is poor at best, and they are not members of the Federation. They cooperate with the US government in exchange for the freedom to use US Navy bases, such as Area 51 and other desert bases. Area 51 is registered as a United States Navy base, not a US Air Force base. Their movement is currently restricted. They cannot freely enter or leave Earth. Some remain on the surface, cooperating with the Cabal, but we believe there are fewer than 40 of them at this time, 2018. They have white skin with no pigmentation. They also suffer from genetic problems that they have been unable to solve. They have not been able to solve them mainly because they are looking for answers in the wrong place, biological science, when the problem is spiritual in origin. They continue growing until their internal organs become deformed. Eventually, their organs fail, resulting in death. They are not considered friendly toward us or toward people of Earth. Another chat, Aneeka of Temer, Procyon. The other day, you told us about the planets Tau Ceti, GJ667c, GJ667ce, and Kepler 296e. What are these planets like? Are they similar in climate and temperature to Earth?
Yes, they are M-class planets of temperate climate, all very similar to Earth. They are land, that is sea with parts of dry land, with animal and plant life and a mild atmosphere, mostly oxygen and nitrogen, with clouds that control the climate. Classes of planets according to temperature. Class D, planetoid or moon with little or no atmosphere. Class H, generally uninhabitable. Class J, gas giant. Class K, habitable as long as pressure domes are used. Class L, marginally habitable, with vegetation, but no animal life. Class M, terrestrial. Class N, sulfuric. Class R, a rebel planet, not as habitable as a terrestrial planet. Class T, ultra-gas giant. Class Y, toxic atmosphere. High temperatures. I have no temperature range. For me, that is or means a range is on Earth, Alfreda, Sindriel, Era or Temer. It's just the average of temperatures on a planet. For example, on Earth, minus 80 degrees is a typical winter in Siberia, but it is not the average temperature. Besides, the letter classification of the planets is a human construct. We classify them simply by temperature range, as humans do, or by the degree of evolution of their inhabitants, but not by habitability as humans do, because the problem is that humans assume that a very cold or very hot planet cannot support life. But it can't support life like Earth, or like Temer or Era, for example, which is essentially the same biology or biological dynamics, but it can support another kind of life adapted to those conditions. So, again, it's humans taking for granted that there is only biological life as it is known on Earth. And to some extent, it's logical because for them there is no evidence that any other kind of life can exist, but for us it's different. For example, a sulfuric acid atmosphere with temperatures between 100 degrees and 200 degrees can support not only life, but an advanced civilization. They just won't look like us.
Thank you, how interesting. And what does a civilization in a sulfuric acid atmosphere look like?
There are many kinds of beings in atmospheres like that. Their biology form is silicon, not carbon. They are insectoid-looking mollusk-like beings with exoskeletons. They don't mess with anyone, and we are not compatible enough for exopolitical relations, but there is mutual respect. This is an example of an advanced race that is simply incompatible with ours as they are extremely different. We do not understand well how they live or their culture for that very reason. But Like the Lyrian races, they also have thousands and thousands of variants on planets which are difficult or hostile to us.
And who are the Procyon?
Procyon. There are two ways of looking at that word. 1. Inhabitants of Procyon, the solar system, members of the Federation, human appearance. And 2. Inhabitants of Procyon, third planet of TAYGETA's solar system, same as other TAYGETANs. Same race, same culture. Procyon, Procyon, I've seen them both used for the same thing. It should not be so. I do make a distinction.
Okay, thank you. We were referring to the Procyonians then.
This is an important note to clarify. The Procyonians are more human, active members of the Federation, full human appearance, pair of jeans and AC/DC t-shirt type, and pass for human, spiritual and positive. Procyon A and Procyon B is a binary system. Distance 11.46 light years away in the constellation Canis Major. There are 7 planets, 2 inhabited, civilization with holistic patriarchal political form, friendly and positive relations with the Council of Alcyone. In Earth orbit right now, present. Fleet of 5 ships as of this day.
What appearance? Nordic type?
Nordic copper type. That is, with skin color like dark copper with light eyes and blonde hair. They pass for human, but towards the eccentric side. They are Canis Major, not Minor. Online I see that it says Canis Minor, but I clarify that in my data they are Canis Major.
Another chat. Reptilians. February 2021. And the reptilians that Yazhi says are concentrated in London, how do they camouflage themselves among the population?
That 3D species looks human, only with scales. So, dressed like humans and wearing dark glasses, face coverings and gloves, depending on the situation, because of the current situation they can walk among people without being seen as something strange. Only those of a Kingu race, because they do not have tails. There are 3 variants of Kingu: green, red, and white. The greens are lower class and do not have tails, the other 2 do. The whites are royalty. The reds are the ones who take care of them. They are like their military. The greens, on the other hand, are their servant population. It should be mentioned that the terrestrial Kingu reptilians are not a holistic society, but rather a society ruled by 7 pyramidal castes.
Are they 3D species?
Yes, 3D. They just hide. They are not from another density. They are very tangible and very visible to the human population.
So are the greens the ones who mix with the population?
Let us say that at least for the most part, they are green with a light beige colored belly. They mockingly call them yellow bellies.
And their height, are they about the same as a human being?
Yes, or a little taller. But at first glance, they pass as humans except for their skin and eyes. So the current situation with things like masks has turned out to be convenient for them.
And would the Queen of England be a white Kingu?
Good question. What I do know is that she is a priestess, but I have never heard that she is royalty to the Kingu. It may be that she is only royalty to humans and is only fulfilling a role or playing a part and is not royalty to the reptilians. It would not be the first time.
So the Kingu, being 3D, are they the ones who were created here, or were those the Usungal?
The information from Anton Parks and ours differs. Anton Parks says that the Kingu created the Usungal, and we have data that the Usungal, being older interstellar beings, were the ones who created the Kingu. That is, the Kingu are terrestrial, interterrestrial, or semi-interterrestrial. I feel that Anton Parks has it backward.
And how many reptilian races are here now?
Countless, but the most numerous are 3 species of Kingu, the usual ones. Their masters, the Usungal and the Draco, all mostly regressive. On a ship, in orbit, are the Alpha Draco, but they are positive. Draco and Alpha Draco are not the same species.
And another question about the reptilian race. The Naga, and I think you once mentioned the Seraphim, Are they also slaves of the Dracos and Usungal?
I do not have much information about this, but they are another race, quite regressive as well. Seraphim, also related to the gargoyles. They are like slaves or guards of the Reptilians' Extraterrestrial caverns.
And is there any reptilian race or group here that is not regressive besides the Alpha Dracos?
Yes, but I do not remember the name at the moment. That is how relevant they are. However, in the work of Mary Rodwell, many starseed children indicate that they are from a positive reptilian race, very loving. They do exist. I just do not have information to share about them right now without researching. But as you can see, they are not common here in orbit.
Another chat, Yazhi, July 2020, Alpha Draconians. And note that many races called reptilian or reptilians are not necessarily reptilian-based, but only have a reptilian appearance. Some look like reptilians, but are mammals. The Draco are somewhat humanoid but with wings. They are large and warlike by nature, generally speaking, or from what is known, 95% or more of them are of an invasive regressive nature. Danger level 9 out of 10. Alpha Draco is a dragon. The Alpha Draco, unlike the Draco, are mostly positive. Despite their appearance, they are progressive and cooperative, very protective. But they are difficult to interact with because their culture is very different from that of someone of Lyrian origin. They do have culture. They are not animals, for lack of a better word, but they rarely wear clothing or only limited clothing, mostly jewelry. Even so, they are dominant. Danger level 10 out of 10, tied with the Urma. But both are positive, although there are still regressive Alpha Draco factions, and they are considered gods by the Usungal or the Kingu on Earth. Dragons are not mythology. They are an intimidating reality, present in virtually every culture on Earth. No matter where, you will always find a dragon. During the time of Atlantis, there was Alpha Draconian influence, but they were independent, only interacting when it suited them. They are not always, nor have they always been positive, especially during that time, which is the reason for so many legends. If they are regressive, they finish everything off. They destroy everything and take everything away. The good thing is that nowadays, the regressive ones are very rare, almost non-existent. However, the Alpha Draco, regardless of their inclination, have always been very much a closed society looking after their own interests. This is logical, since their physical form does not allow any other kind of social development or interaction, even with other reptiloids. However, it is a very ancient species, or group of species, and they are not primitive, only very incompatible with other races. But they are highly interstellar, with gigantic ships kilometers long, shaped like something similar to an artichoke or an agave plant. And is it true, those myths, that they guarded gold? It is highly probable that all of that is real because, like any other race, they need gold for their technology, transportation, and ships. Another chat about reptilians. Yazhi. Multiple race components of a team of politicians that are drunk with power and have been infiltrated by a mind parasite that is often taken by people like David Icke as reptilians. There are reptilian races, of course, But as good and evil is defined by actions and by points of view of who suffers or benefits from such actions, then they are not good or bad, they are just reptilian-based races, as others are cat races and insect races, Larian races, amphibian races. And the all-evil concept of reptilian is to me what I described as a mind parasite, egregor, created as the result of a continuity of attention holding a thought pattern collectively and personally. Happens on Earth, happens in space. Started in space anyway. Again, as said so many times, it can only exist as such as long as someone feeds it exactly what created it in the first place. Negative thought. But the reptilians existed before David Icke, space ones, and they were regressive too. He only put a face on the concept here, and reptilians of course existed long before David Icke, but the concept of bad is an egregor. Not the exact same way perhaps, but that concept is not Icke's, only on Earth in the modern fashion. It is Lyrian. But they did have a face before, reptile face, no? So that concept of bad just happened to leach itself onto the reptile species? Why not Sasani? Because the little fuckers are jolly happy all day long. So high vibe, they are immune to all that. So in other words, it's not regressive reptiles' fault that it's them, the reptiles, being bad. It's Lyrian's fault that they projected it into reptiles? Yes, because they see them as antagonistic. And that is an unconscious projection of them due to an innate fear of snakes that is hardwired in their brains since forever. Why snakes? Matthias doesn't like snakes either. For me, it's cockroaches more. Because they do create fear into the Lyrian mind. They are slithery, they crawl on the ground, and they are very lethal. It is a reaction that is passed from generation to generation, what many call genetic memory, to fear snakes. Poor reptile races. So we all made them bad? We redirected the egregor into them? Why did we have so much creative power over them? They could have resisted and stayed positive. Genes only express in a physical manner a thought pattern that is sustained for a sufficiently prolonged period of time. Many reptilian races are very loving. Many are not emotional. So they have values that differ greatly from ours. That alone creates antagonism. But they just are. And many are emotional as well. They look like a lizard, but are more loving than many other races that have a soft, beautiful face. Yes, I understand. But last question. When you say Saturn Federation was parasited by the reptilians, does it mean just metaphorically, as in reptilian tendencies, or does it literally mean reptilian infiltration somehow there of physical reptiles? I still insist that anything that is purely evil cannot exist without a creator that sustains them as alive or existing in all forms. Pure evil tends to self-destruct, so it is not self-sustained. It needs a creator. That's precisely why they constantly need to feed off fear and torture, suffering of powerful beings that manifest them into existence as an egregor. And that's also why those beings know that when those powerful beings stop fearing them, they have the power to dissolve them back into the ether, into oblivion. So they must stop humanity from awakening. They do it for pure survival. Well, most humans don't know of their existence, so they don't fear them. That's why I don't understand. If they truly wanted to feed off humans' fear, they should go into the streets openly and be mean. Everyone would be scared then. They still know there is evil, a devil, a jinn, an evil spirit lurking in the basement of their houses. Oh, so it's any fear. Those all are one thing, the same egregor, only with a different face and name. So whatever the human may fear irrationally ends up feeding them. Robert's fear of Yeti also feeds one of the reptiles? I fear birds. Fear that is focused at them mostly, but they do feed off any fear. Yes, even the fear of heights, for example. They both do. But then there are levels of fear. Those little ones are part of living, inescapable part. Does not compare to the fear of a child in a cage underground looking at those very material egregors feed off its friends, knowing it's next. A reason to be cautious is not fear. It is being rational. Yes, you are right. And that question about Saturn Federation, parasited by the reptilians, I'm still unclear. Does it mean metaphorically or does it literally mean reptilian infiltration? That is the problem here I tried to express to Aneeka and Alanim. The problem is that we do not know yet the nature of what we are facing. My opinion about what they are is my best estimate, but it is not hard fact. Cannot be yet. Okay, sister. Thank you very much for hearing me out today. Of course. And likewise.
Can we talk about the elongated skull humanoids of Paracas, Peru? Are they ETs, or simply another branch of humanity?
They are ETs.
Do you know which branch or species they belong to?
Yes, they are from the Asteropi, Elohi branch. But not all Elohi have elongated skulls. On Earth, they are called Homo capensis. DNA. All carbon-based species will have a large percentage of DNA that appears to be the same. So even many of the Zeta Greys will have around 90% of their DNA equivalent to that of humans. This is because humans are also a star race. It gets complicated here. But the way people on Earth interpret the data is biased toward Darwinian evolution, incorrectly so. Look into Lloyd Pye's Starchild.
Yes, they are star beings. I've heard that, and I believe it too. I've seen that skull.
That is not a human child with a skull affected by hydrocephalus. What you have there is an adult Zeta Grey skull, no less. It is not a hybrid. You need to understand that there are at least 160 different species of Greys. The skull comes from only one of them. Come on, even the bone itself is different. The bone structure is configured differently as well.
Regarding humanity, humans did not originate on Earth. Can you say where they came from?
Humans and humanoids go back to very ancient times. The oldest records are from the Lyrians, approximately 1 million linear Earth years ago. Those records indicate, however, that they migrated there from elsewhere in the galaxy, long before the time of Lyra, the star Vega. This means that humans, in general, are a very ancient species and inhabit the entire galaxy, to the point that even we cannot determine exactly where we originally came from. Concepts such as the Big Bang are imposed on humanity only for esoteric ritual reasons, because it represents the Yahweh, and Yahweh is a great creative explosion. There was no great explosion. That is more astrotheology. According to TAYGETAN science, we did not begin as a group of species in any particular place. We all emerged simultaneously from source and are as old as time itself. The concepts of always having existed and infinity are difficult for humans to understand. But it is only their arrogance that prevents them from seeing that they cannot know everything. They are not equipped to comprehend certain concepts. If space is infinite, then time is infinite as well, because the two go hand in hand. Therefore, time never began, and it will never end.